Hignett corner, beyond Bent. Janssen! And Blackburn Rovers are 18 minutes away from a Premiership return.
As far as Stewart, just outside the penalty area, flips it central for David Dunn. David Dunn equalises. It just had to be. Dax corner and it goes. Glance towards goal, and Rovers have taken the lead. And Charlie Mulgrew has scored his 14th of the season. It may well be the goal that sends Rovers back into the Championship.
Good evening, Rovers fans, and welcome to another midweek live edition of On the Other Side Live with me, Ryan Hildred from Rovers Chat. Sadly, Rovers' poor run of form continued on Saturday as defeat at Nottingham Forest made it 4 defeats on the spin and pretty much signalled the end of any playoff push for Rovers. And the games certainly don't get any easier as Rovers take on promotion-chasing Watford at Ewood Park tomorrow night. I am delighted to be joined by Mike Duffy from the Voices of the Vic Podcast, who's coming back for a repeat performance on the show. How are you doing, Mike?
I'm doing very well. Thank you very much for having me on again.
No, thank you for joining us. And I was with you at the weekend on your show, so definite friend of the show, Mike. So thanks for joining us. We've got a couple of early birds in the comments. Rovers fans, Kevin, you take the early prize today here at 7:34. And hello to 𝐂𝐎𝐍𝐶𝐄𝐎, to M Outlaw, and to Ollie James. Thanks for joining us tonight. As you usually do, Rovers fans, please do interact with us this evening. Let us know your thoughts. Let us know your views. As ever, the Super Chat is available on all of our live streams now. So if you did want to help support our channel, then you absolutely can do that through the Super Chat facility. But yes, of course, no one's under any obligation to do that, and we'll run through your comments as we usually do. If you're not subscribed to our channel, please subscribe and hit that bell notification button as well so that you get all of the notifications for all of our video content. And please give this video and all of our other videos a like as well. And before we go to the 6 yards out advert, just a fans wall from yesterday's Tony Mowbray live stream that we did. If you've not seen that, go and check that out. We did that live last night. But we had 2 on the fans wall yesterday, Ben the Boss Jackson, and we have to put it on there because he donated 79p. Hugh, otherwise known as Callum Scott, with a kind donation as well. But Ben and Hugh, aka Callum, make the fans wall for today's On the Other Side. But before we get started, Rovers fans, we are, of course, sponsored by 6yardsout.com. The Rovers Chat YouTube channel is proudly sponsored by 6yardsout.com. They've got retro football from every era with mugs, phone cases and much more. They also have plenty of Rovers goods, including apparel with the famous 94-95 season and this season's kit. Check them out using the link in the description below. Thank you to the guys at 6yardsout.com for their very kind sponsorship as ever. Just to address a really quick comment from Els before we get started. The comments in the Lancs Live and to Andy Bays today I found pretty strange. Els, he's coming across as a very dejected character at the moment, and particularly the answer where he said, where Andy asked him, what's your favourite achievement of the last 4 years? And he said nothing, or he said no. How he didn't pick the League One promotion for a start, who knows? So yeah, Mowbray may be feeling the pinch a little bit, but we did Mowbray last night on our live stream, so go and check it out if you haven't. We're here to talk about Rovers and Watford. So Mike, let's make a start. So the last time Rovers played Watford back in October, it was actually one of our better performances of the season in defeat. We had plenty of possession. We looked quite dangerous in that game, and we, of course, missed the penalty at 3-1-2. So what did you make of Rovers that night, and were you impressed with us at that stage?
Yeah, massively. Everyone makes a lot of note about our home form and, best home form in the league. But when Rovers turned up, I was massively impressed. We knew what to expect anyway. I think Armstrong he was firing on all cylinders back then, like he has been for the majority of the season. Granted, he's not been doing as well recently as you said on my show, but you always expect the tough team when Tony Mowbray comes out. I mean, Tony Mowbray's personal record against Watford is very, very good. So whether it's the way that he just sets his teams up or what, but I don't know. But yeah, very, very impressed with Rovers at our place, and probably one of the better teams. You know, we've lost there twice this season, but I wouldn't necessarily go as far as saying they were the best two teams, Cardiff and QPR, that have beat us. Rovers are definitely up there, and certainly wasn't a 3-1er.
No, and it's I think this is the thing that in recent games for Rovers, you know, we've lost that. You know, even the games that we're losing quite badly. That one against Watford in particular was one where we still played all right and the possession was still good. So I think that's been a real source of frustration for us recently. And just with that in mind then, Mike, you know, the Rovers that you saw then and where you see Rovers now, have you been surprised not to see us closer to a playoff push and not challenging Watford directly, you know, at the start of this month? And with the unbeaten January that we had, I was hoping that the game tomorrow would be a real chance for us to get closer to you or indeed above you. So, you know, are you surprised that it's not going to be that way?
Yeah, and mainly because a team with someone with 19 goals in the team, Bradley Dack's returned from injury, and he was key for you boys last season. So you'd expect someone with the calibre of players that you've got to definitely be pushing. And it seems like, you know, Tony Mowbray is definitely, other than this current run he's in at the moment, he's definitely brought back the good times to Blackburn Rovers. So massively surprised that you're not up there pushing for a playoff spot. I think a couple of weeks ago, had a few results gone your way, as you said, you definitely still would have been in a shout. But I think it's starting to take shape now, the table, I think. And as you pointed out, I think it's a stretch too far for you boys, unfortunately.
Indeed. Looking at the comments from M Outlaw and L Scotty, you'll see Mike's predicted side a little bit later on, and you'll see whether Ben Foster is going to play. Don't give it away, Mike. I think they're more interested in seeing the goalkeeper vlog than anything. But don't give it away. I know the answer, but we'll see. So, Mike, I remember us joking about this when we did our preview for the game at Vicarage Road. You know, since we have last spoken, you've unsurprisingly replaced your manager, Vladimir Ivic, lasting just 4 months, and then replaced by Xisco Munoz, I think is how you pronounce it. So, firstly, what happened with Ivic? Because it seemed like you started the season okay. So why was he sacked?
He did. I mean, we were told that he was an attacking manager and he was going to bring this, you know, really attractive style of football to Watford. You know, we saw in pre-season, I know it's pre-season, but we played Tottenham. We beat them 2-1 at the Vic, and just the way that we were pressing, you know, a bit, I feel a bit sort of maybe being a bit OTT here in the comparison, but a bit like Bielsa's sides, where it doesn't matter if they're 4-0 up or 4-0 down, they're busting a gut to get back, or they're busting a gut to get forwards. It was very much like that with the Tottenham game at home, and it just seemed like his style of football from over in Israel, where he won the league back-to-back. The Maccabi Tel Aviv side, which he was in charge of, had only conceded 10 all season. Again, not to compare the two leagues, but we conceded 8 in one game against Man City last season. So, you know, for somebody to come in and straight away sort that defensive side of things out and then get us playing attacking football, it was everything we could have dreamed of and more. As the games went on, it was evident that Vladimir Ivic was quite happy if we were to get a goal, that we would sit on that goal and sit on the 1-0, and we couldn't do that. I did feel sorry to an extent for Ivic, because the players he had at his disposal wasn't, you know, he never had a full strength 11. I'm trying to think that there might be 1 or 2 games where he had a full squad to select from, but the large majority of his reign at Watford, he didn't really have that, and he therefore couldn't play his preferred formation, which is a formation that we're seeing now at the moment. But it was just very negative. That Huddersfield game, his last game in charge at Huddersfield, no disrespect to Huddersfield, but a team like us who wanting to win the league, or at least automatic, we should be going there looking to get 3 points. They walked all over us. It was just a shambles. Then you had the whole sort of discipline issue with Troy Deeney, which turned out to be nothing in the end, or so we'd taken his word for it on TalkSport anyway. But everyone from looking from the outside in, I'm sure you probably looked at him and thought, oh, I wouldn't want to get on the wrong side of him because he's a very sort of stone-faced character. And I think that was sort of playing off in the behind the scenes as well. He wasn't very approachable, and I get that footballers are perhaps not the same mould as they were years ago. Like your characters like Roy Keane probably worked back in the early 90s, etc. But he couldn't do it now. So, yeah, I think it was rubbing off on the players, and it just created an unhappy vibe behind the scenes. So, income Munoz from the Georgian League.
I didn't realise it was the Georgian League. So, yes. He's a name that not many of us will have recognised before he joined you. And he's been in charge for 12 fixtures in all competitions now since that first game on Boxing Day, I believe. In those 11 league games, he has got 7 wins, 2 draws, 2 defeats. So, again, seems like he's doing a decent job. And he's got you right back in that automatic promotion hunt. So, what is the view from fans on him? And has he changed the style much, between this man, Munoz and 𝐕𝐈𝐃?
Yeah, he's changed the formation. That formation change against Bristol City is what we've been crying out for from the first game of the season. He plays, the formation that we're playing at the moment and the way that we're playing. We dismantled Bristol City. I felt so sorry for him. I got a couple of friends who support Bristol City, and I just felt so bad for him. And it just looked so disjointed from their side. And then we went to Preston and picked up a hard-fought 1-0. Granted, it wasn't very sloppy, but we wanted to get forwards. That's we'll talk about this as you said in a bit, but that's part of our problem away from home is we seem quite content with trying to scrape a goal from somewhere and then just sitting on it. Whereas against Preston the other week, we scored a goal. Yes, it was another penalty, but we scored a goal and we actually looked like we wanted to keep going and keep getting more goals. In terms of how his reign is going, it wouldn't surprise many people to know that before the Bristol City game, in some fans' eyes, really that is make or break for his Watford career. And it's absolutely crazy to think about that. But yeah, he's certainly changed fortunes. And I think the thing we're worried about is he obviously brought that change of formation in. There was a lot of pressure on him. As I've just said, people thinking if we lose this, he's gone. There was some idiotic fans that were hoping we would lose so that he would go. I really don't understand. I do not understand fans like that. Really don't. And then obviously we went and won. The big thing was the next game against Preston was is he going to stick with that formation? Because he played 4-4-2 a lot, which really hacked us Watford fans off. And B, were we going to put in a similar performance? And although the scoreline wasn't similar, I would say the work ethic and the work effort as well was definitely similar. So he's definitely the type of character that you want to come in as to provide a new manager bounce. He's very friendly. You can see that he gets on with the lads behind the scenes and everything else. And he's just everything you need. He ticks a lot of boxes, definitely for the Pozzos.
Yeah, definitely. And it was just, as I say, quite ironic that you're coming on here and we're talking about a new manager. And 𝐿𝐿 there has got probably a genuine question. Have you ever kept a manager for more than half a season? When was the last time? We had 𝐕𝐈𝐃𝐄𝐿. We've had Walter Mazzari. We've had 𝐂𝐿𝐿 Sanchez-Flores. Thing is, a lot. I don't want to go off too much on a tangent on this one, but a lot of people don't realise that. I totally understand why the question comes up whenever Watford are mentioned, the managers. Firstly, I think Nottingham Forest have had the same, if not more, managers as us in the same time period. But a lot of the managers haven't been sacked. They have a certain amount of contracts, so they'll have a 1-year contract and then there'll be a clause if such and such has happened, you get an extension, or if not. So a lot of managers have actually come to the end of the contract. There's only a handful that have actually been sacked, if you like. And I think everyone just sort of, if you hear that Watford have parted with a manager, straight away they're thinking that they're being sacked, but it isn't
that isn't always the case, but recently it has been the case. So I will admit that, yeah.
I think it can work though. So Barnsley are aside, but we found out this season from another friend of the show, Andy, that I hadn't realised that they've got a real good off the field philosophy where the manager rotates into that rather than the other way around. And for Watford, to be fair, it worked for you for a few years, so it can work, can't it?
It can, constantly getting, whenever I speak to my mates in the pub pre-COVID and anytime you speak to my mates and Watford have got a new manager. Do you not find it embarrassing that they keep sacking managers? Up until last season, as you said, it was working. That approach was working. Last season, they got it terribly wrong with bringing 𝐂𝐻𝐿𝐄𝐎 in. I think they should have probably given 𝐕𝐈𝐃𝐄𝐎 a little bit more time, considering he won us the most points in the Premier League and he got us to an FA Cup final. Yes, we probably bottled the European race a little bit because we had one eye on the Cup final, although the way that we played in it, you wouldn't think that. But bringing 𝐂𝐻𝐿𝐄𝐎 in was the wrong decision, and bringing Nigel Pearson in was the correct decision at the wrong time. I think he should have been a lot earlier. So up until last season, I completely didn't have any problems with it. It was working, but last season was where you start thinking, yeah, it's getting a bit hairy. So.
Definitely. I'm just chuckling at Callum's comment. Find someone who likes you as much as Ryan likes Barnsley. I've talked about them a lot. I really do think they're underrated. But I need to stop talking about them, don't I, Callum? So, Mike, let's move on then. Recent form for Watford compared to Rovers is certainly the polar opposite to us. You've had 3 wins and a draw in your last 4 games compared to our 4 straight defeats. However, one area that seems to have dogged you all season, and when I was doing the research for this show, is your away form. Now, we've got a graphic here that just shows that in comparison to the other 3 sides up there with you. It's just the 4 wins away from home all season, which is actually less than the 5 that Rovers have got, but probably more crucially, away from home, you've got 10 points less than Norwich, 9 less than Brentford, and 5 less than Swansea. And then the goals for and against are just incredible. Just 8 goals, which is the second least that you've scored, but then just 9 against, which is the least in the division in those 15 games. Compare that to the home form, as you referenced earlier, a huge contrast. You're the league best team with 12 wins at home, which is, the most, 38 points, which is the most, 32 goals, which is the most. So what the hell is happening away from home? What are you putting this down to?
I really don't know, and it really frustrates us Watford fans. And I suppose if we had the answer, we'd probably be in the dugout for the away games. You could probably stick anyone in the dugout for the home games the way that it's going this season. But I don't know. Possibly lockdown having something to do with it. But then again, can you really still use that excuse in February? They've had this long to get used to it. But I really don't understand. Pitches obviously aren't helping. We're in a very privileged position where our pitch is very, very well looked after, and it's like a carpet at times, and hats off to the ground staff. And obviously it's very taxing on some pitches, but it's really, really strange and so hard to put a finger on what's going on. I mean, you mentioned that graphic there. I think I did a bit of research on it as well. And I think if we were to win tomorrow, depending on other results, we would actually go from the 13th sort of best or worst, I don't know what you want to call it, but 13th in the away form table, we'd jump up to 8th. So it's really, really crazy. But as you say, we don't score many away from home and we don't concede any. So whether it's just the way that we try and set up, whether we want to just play a counter attack and sort of we're happy to sit on a game and try and break teams down, I don't know, but it is massively frustrating and it sort of puts us off straight away. If we've got a game coming up that might be considered winnable, I don't want to speak on behalf of the vast majority of Watford fans here, but straight away, as soon as I see that we're away, that little bit more confidence just drains away from me. But hopefully with this new system and the team looking like they've really clicked now, and it's about bloody time, but hopefully we can start picking up points away from home, because they're the ones, those 1-0s on a Tuesday night at Deepdale, and those, if we can scrape a win tomorrow, Ewood Park's not a very happy hunting ground for Watford over the years. So if we can sneak Sonny, they're the points that really count towards the end and hopefully get you over that finish line and back up to the Premier League.
Yeah, they are. And just to ask you the obvious question, and you've just touched on it there, your automatic promotion hopes rest on your away form now, don't they? As you say, if you turn those results into some wins, you're over the line, you've done it with that home form, isn't it? Is that how you're seeing it as well as a Watford fan?
Massively, yeah. If we can, play just even though it's half as good as we do at home, we just look so, and that's what I think it baffles a lot of Watford fans. When we returned from lockdown last year, we were obviously fighting for survival in the Premier League. At home, we just couldn't do it. And there were a lot of murmurs from behind the scenes at the club that it was the fact that the players couldn't get used to playing in front of no crowds. And listen, I get that, the initial restart. But now to go from that to, and we've still got a large part of that Premier League squad that come down, to go from that to having the best home form in the league, suddenly it doesn't quite add up there. So if we can sort our way from out, you're absolutely bob on there, Ryan. We automatics, we can look much stronger and not sort of have to rely on other results going our way, which it will always happen when you're chasing the pack there. But let's focus on our away form first before we start worrying if Brentford will drop points, Norwich will drop points, etc.
Absolutely, because I'm looking at that. Brentford are the team level on points with you at the moment, aren't they? And
Yes.
You've got 9 less points than them away from home. So if you can make up that type of gap, then that's pretty obvious there, isn't it? But Rovers fans, a little chink of hope there with Watford's away form. If you have a look at that, particularly the goals, probably going to be a tight affair tomorrow, as some of you have made in the comments. Stephen, what's our pitch like now? Michael, I think you made the point, raining all day tomorrow. Will the pitch hold up? So if our pitch is the way it has been, Mike, and if it is going to be a tight affair like Watford have done all season, could just be another one of those midweek games, which isn't an enjoyable watch, I'm afraid. Okay, so if we look at Watford's team in a bit of detail then, Mike, we've got some key stats on another graphic for you, which we do for all of the other clubs across goals, assists, and the whoscored.com ratings. The goals appear to be nicely spread between Pedro, Ismaila Sarr and Troy Deeney. And we spoke about Sarr and Pedro earlier on in the season for the Vicarage Road fixture as well. So first and foremost, those two are too good for this division, surely, aren't they?
Yeah, massively. They're massive key players, and keeping hold of them was huge. And looking at that graphic there, I think it goes to show that as keeping hold of Ismaila Sarr, he was so close to going to Liverpool. In January, we didn't realise Sadio Mane was looking for apartments for Sarr in Liverpool. That's how close he was.
Wow.
They just couldn't agree on the fee. But keeping hold of him, the return of Ken Semmer off from Udinese, where we sent him out on loan. 𝐂𝐎𝐿, he's in that rating. I'm very surprised that he's rated that low, actually, because I think he's been one of our best players since he got his break into the team. And listen, he only played in the team because there was an injury in the defence, and he got a lucky break. We saw him in a game earlier in the season in the Carabao Cup against Oxford and Newport, and he looked a bit shaky in those games. But he's got his lucky break, and he's made that defensive centre-back position his own, and he's absolutely superb. So he's another one which we've been immensely sort of proud of, and he's really hit the ground running.
And just talk to us about Ken Semmer, because how Pedro, Sarr and Deeney get all of the plaudits. They get all of the attention, but Ken Semmer's probably a man that doesn't get a lot of attention, but 4 assists is good. So talk to us about him. What type of player is he?
Yeah, first thing you see him from Semmer, much like Sarr, really, any chance he's got, he's running forward. He's trying to attack from it. He was asked to play at left wing back at sort of earlier times in the season. Didn't really utilise him properly in that position because, like I say, he's a player that likes to get forward, and likes to run at people, and he's dribbling like he. He looks really awkward when he's on the ball, but then he'll beat like 2 or 3 players. And what he loves to do is, whether we'll see this tomorrow, I don't know, but the amount of times we've seen him, he will run at his fullback and he will take it really close to the byline and then look to cut it like back so that the player, whoever is there, the lucky recipient, whoever these there, they've got an easy tap in. So he likes to sort of hug that byline, as does Ismaila Sarr on the same side. They're very similar. Obviously, Sarr's a class apart, but they're very similar in the way that they like to play in terms of any chance they've got, they're getting forward. And Semmer in this front, sort of the front three, really sort of clicking, and it goes to show that we probably could have done with him last season, but I mean, we didn't play the formation that we did last season. Then he had a decent loan spell over in Udinese at our sister club, so that looks like it's done him the world of good. And like I say, he's been absolutely superb since he's come back, and becoming a fan's favourite.
Yeah, for sure. And I was surprised to see his name there, but yeah, thank you for the lowdown on him. So Mike, before we went live, then we got you to give us your predicted 11, and 𝐿 and M Outlaw. This is where you get your moment of truth. Are you going to see Ben Foster? Mike thinks no, unfortunately. So Mike, talk us through the side, but talk to us about Ben Foster first and why he's not playing.
Yeah, so Ben Foster's got a broken finger. He played with it earlier in the season against Birmingham City, and there's a brilliant. The guys, I assume they watch him. The guys that have commented on this, but they probably saw there's a video on social media where the kit lady actually stitched 2 of the fingers together on his goalkeeper gloves because he broke his finger. He did give us an update in one of his Cycling GK vlogs to say that he's had this injury before in his career. Usually it takes a couple of weeks to sort of heal and get better, but this time around it's just not doing. So Dan Buckman's come in, who we signed a few years ago now from Stoke. He's only 25 or 26 actually. He made a couple of cup appearances last season. Wasn't the most convincing. I mean, in his first one, from memory, we drew Tranmere in the cup at home, and we were 3-0 up in 20-25 minutes, and we ended up drawing 3-3. He wasn't the best in that game, and then we lost the replay 2-1 to Tranmere. So he looked shaky last season, but listen, we were only judging him off that. He had a very impressive loan spell at 𝐂𝐎𝐿 as well, which he actually helped them get into Europe a couple of seasons ago. So they were sort of praising him, and I'd say that's about the level of League One Championship. No disrespect to the Scottish Prem, but he seems to have another one who really, he's got his foot in the door. He's had to be sort of third fiddle, if you like, to Ben Foster and Aurelio Gomez these last couple of years. He's finally got his chance, and he's grabbed it with both hands. I think 8 appearances, 6 clean sheets, or 9 appearances, 6 clean sheets. So, he's testament to him. So he will continue in goal. The back 4, I would imagine, or at least I'm hoping, there's going to be a change there because 𝐿𝐎𝐃 has been playing the last couple of games. We've seen a couple of, when I mentioned that we wanted to keep that 4-3-3, 𝐂𝐎𝐿𝐻𝐃 and 𝐿𝐻𝐃 was there. 𝐿𝐻𝐃 actually come out for the Preston game, and 𝐿𝐎𝐃 went in. 𝐂𝐎𝐿𝐻𝐃, was replaced for 𝐿𝐎𝐃 in that game. But I think 𝐻𝐃 and 𝐂𝐎𝐿𝐻𝐃 really do have a really strong bond at centre back, and I would go as far as saying that 𝐂𝐎𝐿𝐻𝐃 is probably one of the best centre backs, if not the best centre back in the Championship at the moment. Whether I'll get some absolute pelters in the comments for that, I don't know. If there's any obvious ones I'm missing, but sort of in the air, he's absolutely superb. I'd love to see the stats for his aerial duels won. 𝐻𝐃, captain of Nigeria. or at least he's certainly captained them a few times. Adam Messina, he was what we were hoping for. I mentioned earlier that Ken Semmer had to play at left wing back at times. That's because Messina was out injured. Suits us, massively. He's an actual left-footed, sort of left-sided defender. He's a left back, which is good because we needed one of them, and we were having to play Jeremy and 𝐏𝐻𝐿𝐻 on that side, and Ben Wilmot, who aren't left back, so it wasn't comfortable. 𝐂𝐄𝐓, you speak to any Watford fan, they will say that he's definitely up for player of the season. He's been an absolute revelation. He's got experience in the La Liga second division. I think he won promotion from the second tier in Spain. He was brilliant. He was all right last season. We probably thought he was more of a midfielder, but this time he will get the ball, and him and Sarr's understanding of each other, they will just work together so well. You'll often see overlaps, hopefully, if we play well tomorrow. But 𝐂𝐄𝐓, not afraid to get forward as well. Little speed demon as well he is. Midfield three picks itself, really. Chalobah, he come under a lot of scrutiny earlier in the season. Whenever his name was on the team sheet, everyone on Twitter, oh God, Chalobah's playing. He got a lot of stick. He's really grown into his own. We had him on loan back in 2012-13 season. 2012-13 season, we had him on loan when the Pozzos first took over. He was on loan from Chelsea, and he was superb. We're slowly seeing that sort of form return to Chalobah. He is one game from a too much ban though, because he's on 9 yellow cards, and we've got Bournemouth on Saturday, so we could do without him picking up a yellow card. So maybe, I know this is a predicted 11 I've given you, but if Chalobah doesn't play, then it'll be Dan Gosling. But I'm pretty sure that Chalobah will play, because they have come out and said that they're not really worried about him picking up that yellow card. Will Hughes goes without saying. I'm sure you guys know from when you've played, Derby in the past few years as well. Makes that midfield tick. Everything went through him against Derby on Friday night. When we took him off, I think it was like 20 minutes to go or something. That's when the Derby onslaught started. Will Hughes is just, since his return from injury, he has been absolutely superb, and what you'd expect from Will Hughes. And then Tom Cleverley, for a man of his age, my words, that guy is an absolute engine. He just does not stop running. Any lost cause, he'll run after it. Any ball, any loose ball, he'll try and feed off the scraps of it. Just runs and runs and runs and runs. He's a real workhorse. And you sometimes have to think, this guy's, I think he's 31, 32, but he doesn't play like he's that age. He's certainly, got the youthfulness of a young 20-year-old midfielder that's eager to chase everything down. And then that front three, it'd be silly to change it. Pedro's in the goals at the moment. He's on 8 for the season. He's set himself a target. It's very rare that you hear strikers do this now, but he said on our website that he wants 15 for the season. It's his first full season in the in English football, and for a first full season in the second tier of English football, it's one hell of a baptism of fire. I think he said over the summer or over the break that the small break they got from last season to this season, he put on 7 kilograms of muscle, because he knew that it was physical. He'll drop deep, try and win the ball as well, which is something we've not seen from a striker of ours for quite some time. And then, as I've said, Ken Semmer and Ismaila Sarr, sort of, they go without saying. That the link up between those three at the moment is really good, and hopefully we'll see those runs. And hopefully, I'm seeing a lot of comments here about Sarr, and people seem worried. He can be very frustrating. Whoever the fullback is, I think Sarr sometimes forgets how quick he is, because 9 times out of 10, if he just runs at the fullback, he's got the beating of him 9 times out of 10. But it's very frustrating to watch him sometimes. So it depends what Ismaila Sarr's turned up. But he's come out and done a few interviews with the club website recently, and it's sounding very good. And he's certainly not speaking like a player that almost joined Liverpool last month. And he's very much got his eyes on the prize of getting us back up to the promised land. So yeah, that hopefully he's going to be the team come. What is it? We're at 8 tomorrow, is it? So come 7 o'clock, hopefully that's the team news that's released. Fingers crossed anyway, because there'll be a lot of unhappy Watford fans if he changes it too much.
I don't know about Rovers fans, but whilst that graphic was on, I was secretly weeping when we were going through that side. That has not filled me with any confidence whatsoever. And how the hell has a side like that only scored 8 goals away from home? What the bloody hell's going on? I mean, if I bring that up again, you've got 2 fullbacks there, as you said, that want to get forward. Semmer and 𝐓 that are also going to do those things in the wide areas. Good striker in 𝐿𝐻, and then a really good midfield three. So that is a conundrum and a half how that side's not scored the goals. So if there is an area of weakness, Mike, looking at that side, where can Rovers hurt you tomorrow? I mean, on paper, it looks a really strong side, but where can we hurt you?
I think I feel bad for saying this because he's had a lot of good press recently and he's done really, really well. But I don't know what Rovers are like in terms of whether they like to get crosses into the box. But Dan Buckman can be a bit flappy at crosses and he doesn't look the most confident when coming to claim the ball at times. Derby, probably one of the best corner taking teams I've seen this season. Last Friday, they were pelting our penalty area with those corners and they almost scored from one. Buckman produced a brilliant save, but some crosses he does look a bit shaky, so I would probably say that, and you just hope that 𝐓𝐻's having one of those days where he doesn't fancy beating his fullback, whoever it may be, because I know you boys have got a few injuries yourself.
And Rovers fans, just as I asked Mike the final question, hit us with your score predictions based on what you've heard, and then Mike and I will do ours. But Mike, we've spoken about the away form. 8 goals for, 9 goals against, really tight games. As I say, if I flash it up again, that side looks really set up to go and attack someone away from home, first and foremost. And then with a side like Rovers, who have lost 4 on the bounce, who are outside of the playoff spots now, who are licking their wounds a little bit, can you see Munoz just saying to the side tomorrow, bloody go for this tomorrow? Can you see a change in approach?
I can't see a change in approach in terms of the tactics. I definitely hope he sticks with that. If Rovers are sort of down in the dumps, as you say, then I'd love nothing more than Munoz and a couple of the senior players in that squad to be saying, lads, come on, we've got a chance here to get 1, 2, 3, however many. So I think we really need to start having a go at teams away from home now. I'm seeing some of the score predictions coming in, and I don't disagree with some of them. I genuinely think personally it'll be a draw, but really, as you said, we need to start putting teams to the sword, and hopefully Munoz has done his homework accordingly, and we just keep pressing and pressing. But I think the pitch will have a lot to play with it as well. A big part to play in the game, because we like to get the ball on the floor and pass it about and whatnot, whereas before we were quite happy to lump it up to Troy Deeney, and maybe the pitch doesn't suit that style of football. So it'd be interesting to see how that's going to, and that might be why we're struggling away from home, because of the pitches. This system, I think we've played 1 away game with this system, so it seems a bit early to judge on that, but we do need to start sort of seeing teams off away from home. We can have all the possession in the world, but those last 10 minutes, no matter if you're 1-0 up or whatever, it's so tough having to watch, especially because the main result away from home for us this season is 1-0. And holding on to a 1-0 lead is not a pretty watch. It doesn't matter if Blackburn are camped in their half, I'll still think they'll somehow break and get a goal. So it's going to be a tight affair tomorrow. I think that some of these score predictions, that I understand why they're probably saying that, they're not confident, and why you boys might not be. But I tell you what, really do not be surprised if this is a drab game and it does finish 0-0, honestly.
So just to then push you on your prediction then, Mike, what are you thinking? What are you going for as your actual prediction?
I said on my podcast before, because we recorded before you lost at Forest, so I said 2-0 that Pedro was going to get both. But I think if we got, I'm going to say I'll say we'll win, because we're in that sort of momentum at the moment where we're picking up results. But if we do win, it's going to be a 1-0. And there's a very good chance that will come through a penalty. Semmer and Sarr have been. We've had the most penalties awarded to us this season than we have in the whole of the last 10 seasons, and a large part of that is because of the quick feet of Pedro, Sarr, and Semmer. So it all depends on what defence you're playing. I know Lenihan's out injured, isn't he? I think you said. I know he's is he captain? Is he Lenihan?
He's up, yeah. I don't know if he'll be back tomorrow. I don't think he will be. I think the rumour is he won't be.
And
so
is it Nyambi's out as well? I think he's
out,
pretty
not as bad as first feared. So if Ken Semmer wants a run at someone tomorrow, he's got an opportunity.
So exactly. So whether it's going to be like, I don't know, a second string fullback that's playing or whoever, I think if we're going to win, it's going to be a 1-0 off. So I feel sorry for myself and everyone else that is going to pay £10 to watch it.
So 1-0, you said? Is that what you just said there? 1-0?
1-0.
I'm not feeling confident about this one, Mike. I think that defence that we are going to have out tomorrow can be exploited. Wouldn't surprise me, if Deeney came on and made a bit of an impact tomorrow, with the two young centre-halves that are going to be there. To be fair to them, on Saturday, they did a cracking job with Glenn Murray on the whole, I think, for two young lads on loan. But I could maybe see this being 0-0 at half-time and then maybe Deeney coming on and making a bit of an impact. I'm not confident.
Deeney's injured. He's out for... there's no time scale on it at the moment, but he's... I think he's ruptured his Achilles. He's in a protective boot. I know that much. So our substitute striker will be Andre Gray, who can't hit a barn door with a handful of wheat at the moment, and Stipe 𝐕𝐈𝐃𝐄𝐎, who I think he's 6'5" or 6'7". He's quite a lanky bloke. And he's a decent. He puts himself about. You watch these sort of lanky players. Crouchy always looked awkward when he was playing, but he's a decent player, that 𝐕𝐈𝐃𝐄𝐎. And some actually, even though he's not played much, some actually think he's probably our second best striker at the club. So it's those two. But we very rarely have we seen those sub strikers come on the last few games. We haven't seen Andre Gray, thankfully. He's got 3 and 3 against you boys, actually, because I do stat packs on my podcast. So he's got 3 and 3.
He's got previous, and he played for them lot up the road as well. So
yes, he did.
Could have said blood striker apart from Andre Gray replacing Troy Deeney. Well, same thing. I can see an impact from the bench tomorrow. But first and foremost, I think that side on paper that you've got. Did you say it's only the second game away from home that's going to be in this system? You beat Preston in your last away game, didn't you? So I can see you getting the job done tomorrow. I think it'll be low scoring because of the pitch and the conditions and things. And I think once again, the first goal is going to be crucial. So I'm going to say a 1-0 Watford win as well. I don't like doing that, but I have to let my head rule my heart. We're in bad form. You're in good form. It's the business end of the season. And if I was Munoz, I'd be saying, have this game. This is, if you want promotion to the Premier League, these are the ones you've got to win. And ultimately, I think that stuff will rise to the surface. So sorry, Rovers fans, I predicted a loss. I'm not feeling confident. I will just go through everyone's predictions that we've had. I think Mark was in first. I will just bring up Autumn Penkridge's stat, though. Watford ain't won at Ewood since September 2000. Only 5 games, though. We've won 3, 1 draw, and then the loss in 2000. Mark was first up, though, with a 0-0. Dizzy, good to have you on. Dizzy's over in Tasmania, Mike. So very loyal follower from across way down under for us. 2-1 Watford. Dizzy's gone. Kevin, who was here earliest. We don't seem to swing. When you said about crosses into the box, Mike, we don't tend to do that.
Yeah.
We don't tend to swing balls in. We tend to try and play through. Hope tomorrow I'm wrong, going for a 1-1. Xander, this game's got 0-0 written all over it. Byram, Blackburn 1-3. Be a tight game, but how often do Rovers come out of tight game on the right side of the result? Paddy's gone 0-0. Michael, I'm proud of you. Never predict a loss. You're a better man than I am. 2-1 Rovers need a performance. We absolutely do. Else 3-1 Watford. I tell you what, Mike, you have broken Luke who is a contributor to our show, he never predicts Rovers to lose, and you've broken him. Team formation. So hell is about to freeze over. Away 2-0, lacking any optimism. Ask me again tomorrow. Luke will be with me on our watch along with Joe tomorrow as well, Rovers fans, if you are going to join us tomorrow night. Ollie, I think we'll lose 3-1, so sadly we'll have to wait for 𝐂𝐿𝐄𝐄𝐿 to get his first goal. Autumn, hopefully Watford do something Watfordy and Rovers win 1-0. Yeah, I'm hoping for that as well. 𝐿𝐿𝐄𝐿 Scotty's gone for Watford 1-0. Dizzy just backing up the point. Rovers will play Watford into away form. So if ever you need a result, Rovers are the team to call, Mike. So Cameron 4-3 Rovers. Mad, I know. After all that prep I've done, Cameron, after 8 goals for 9 against, if this game is 4-3, I'm going to be raging. James, I think, was next. We're going to win 5-1 tomorrow easy. Watford will go down to 10 men after 20 minutes. Heard it here first. Love it. Love it, James. Hornet, one of your lads who's come on, mate. There you go. 1-0.
Yeah, regular listener of mine, John. Thanks for tuning in, John. 1-0 penalty, 65th. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And then Cameron just backing up my sentiment there. Andre Gray not scored all season. Guaranteed he scores tomorrow. And Barfly, we know the story.
Hopefully he doesn't get on the pitch, anywhere near that pitch tomorrow, mate. Hopefully.
Stephen, you and all of the Rovers fans who have predicted Rovers not to lose can absolutely laugh at me tomorrow if we win. So I invite you to laugh at me tomorrow if Rovers do win. So please do. Barfly, lockdown madness, 5-1 Rovers. Callum's gone 2. And then, oh, here we go. Hornets calling you out here, Mike. Mike, you predicted we'll lose in the playoff final. I think it might be to Bristol City. So I think one of the fans earlier said it was 3-0 at the moment, was it, to Bristol City? So
yeah, it was 3-0 before we went live, I believe. But that's not. I don't know if Pearson's took over yet. I heard he was taking the reins on Saturday, but that's what he does. So yeah, could be. Hopefully not.
Excellent. And then 2 more have just snuck in here. Ollie, Luke's predicting a last minute. Glenn, I love the blue shorts end whistle to bring some positivity. Yes, everyone be like Glenn. And then Gillis, another 3-1 loss. So there we have it, Rovers fans. I don't know about you, but Mike has done a very successful job of scaring the living God out of me for this game tomorrow night. I think that side looks really good on paper, Mike. So we will see what happens. But thank you for giving up your time on this Tuesday evening, Mike. Really appreciate you coming on and giving your insight on the show.
Not a problem. Thank you very much for having me. Thanks for the friendly comments from your guys as well. But hopefully it'll be an entertaining game because, like I say, away from home we're so rubbish. So, but yeah, thanks very much for having me, Ryan. Really appreciate it. And who knows, we might speak again next season. Who knows?
Who knows? You'll have to stay down, but we'll see. We've got 2 more predictions here. Nadeem has gone, we'll lose 2-0. Cameron's just pointing out it's 3-1 to Bristol City there. And yeah, thank you, Autumn. And thank you, Dizzy. Enjoy your day, Dizzy. We'll all be going to bed soon. You're going to be getting up soon. So enjoy your day and then enjoy the game when you get there tomorrow. Rovers fans, if you're not subscribed to our channel, please hit that subscribe button. Please turn on all notifications so that you get all of our video content as it goes live. And of course, give this video a like and all of our other videos a like as well. So that's it. Thank you, Kevin, for the kind comment. I will leave you all with our sponsor message from 6yardsout.com. And we'll see you all tomorrow for the pre-match and watch-along and the post-match live stream as we usually do. Check out the Rovers Chat Twitter for when we're going to go live with that stuff. Have a good evening, everyone. See you later, Mike. And we will leave you with the advert. The Rovers Chat YouTube channel is proudly sponsored by 6yardsout.com. They've got retro football from every era with mugs, phone cases and much more. They also have plenty of Rovers goods including apparel with the famous 94-95 season and this season's kit. Check them out using the link in the description below.